Urban Outfitters has been forced to apologize for what some are calling an exploration in tastelessness. The retailer attempted to sell a vintage Kent State University sweater, complete with tattered edges and red blood-like stains, offering a loose, slouchy fit for those who wish to trivialize the loss of life. In 1970, students across the U.S. were protesting Nixon's widening of the Vietnam War into Cambodia. Nixon sent the National Guard to restore order to the Kent State campus. On May 4, 1970, 4 people were killed and 9 wounded when the National Guard opened fire on student protesters, firing 67 rounds over a period of 13 seconds. Witnesses couldn't believe that the guardsmen weren't shooting blanks. Now, many guardsmen later testified that they were in fear for their lives, which was questioned because of the distance between them and the students that were killed or wounded. And Time magazine later concluded that triggers weren't pulled accidentally at Kent State. Now, store officials insist that they never intended to allude to the tragic events of the Kent State Massacre, and they promptly removed it from their website to avoid further upset. Urban Outfitters' offensive deal serves as a reminder that protesters are still enemy number one to the state. When protesters took to the streets of Ferguson, Missouri last month to protest the shooting of unarmed teen Michael Brown by a police officer, Ferguson PD rolled out the big guns, literally. While protesters held signs and chanted, "Hands up, don't shoot," the PD moved in with MRAPs and fired upon protesters and reporters alike with a barrage of tear gas, rubber bullets, wooden bullets, flashbang grenades, and sound cannons, all in an effort to stifle the First Amendment rights of those who were fed up with an abuse of authority. Tear gas, which is barred from use during war, but apparently it's completely perfect to use on demonstrators here in America. When police fired tear gas on protesters in Oakland, California during the Occupy Wall Street protests, peaceful protester and 2-time Iraq War veteran Scott Olson sustained a skull fracture from a police projectile. And after this cop was filmed discharging pepper spray at a line of seated demonstrators at UC Davis, former Officer John Pike won more than $38,000 in a workers' comp case against the school, claiming he suffered anxiety and depression after video outrage. The FBI even planned to assassinate the leaders of the Occupy movement via suppressed sniper rifles. This was according to an FBI document obtained by the Partnership for Civil Justice Fund via FOIA request. Now, although the document is redacted, it clearly shows that the FBI planned to gather intelligence against the leaders of the protest groups, then formulate a plan to kill the leadership via suppressed sniper rifles. Now, news of an FBI plot to murder political activists doesn't come as a surprise to those who are familiar with COINTELPRO. The FBI's COINTELPRO program of the 1960s and 70s aimed to frighten dissidents and disrupt their movements, enabling the FBI and police to eliminate the leaders of mass movements without undermining the image of the United States as a democracy. Now, according to the official narrative, COINTELPRO was terminated in 1971, but that is clearly not the case. For years, the government has been using anti-terror laws to crush dissent. NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden wrote about the NSA's spying programs, saying, "These programs were never about terrorism. They're about economic spying, social control, and diplomatic manipulation. They're about power." Attorney General Eric Holder announced Monday another spying program that he claims is aimed at fostering community and local outreach efforts to combat the message of extremist groups such as ISIS. But we know this isn't about ISIS. Exclusive photographs provided to InfoWars earlier this month from a local business owner show an FBI PowerPoint presentation placing homegrown groups at the top of the agency's terror watch list.
NSKSLA News 12 Jeff Farrell discovered the clergy would help the government with potentially their biggest problem, us.
For the clergy, one of the biggest tools that they will have in helping calm the public down or obey the law is the Bible itself, specifically Romans 13.
By conflating political dissidents with terrorism, local, state, and federal law enforcement can pursue activists simply for challenging government policy. And as history shows, the establishment has no problem using violence to subdue opposition.